just one issue this afternoon in the short time available, and that is the living marine resource that under international law is bestowed upon the United Kingdom. The Great Repeal Bill has now changed its name to the European Union Withdrawal Bill, and is the second half of that causes me just a few concerns, and that is bringing virtually all the EU's acquis into domestic legislation. Now, the reason for most of that is completely understandable. It's entirely necessary, because when the termination date of Article 50 of the Treaty of European Union is reached and the EU treaties cease to apply within this country, along with the EU regulations that take their authority from the EU treaties, vast swathes of present domestic legislation would simply disappear. And by bringing that acquis across, it will fill that void, which can be sorted out at a later date. Now, it's that sorting out that has caused a great deal of debate. The method by which that will be sorted out has caused debate in this House. But it is, in my opinion, the method by which has been proposed is entirely necessary, it's entirely desirable, and I support them. I support them completely for legislation that is applicable only to the United Kingdom. But when dealing with legislation that involves relationships outside the United Kingdom, for example, the common fisheries policy, I have a few concerns, because that body of legislation of acquis, that is the CFP, is made up almost entirely of regulations. The only way we can achieve compatibility is through a legally binding withdrawal agreement, and that in itself, at this time, brings some problems. Firstly, at this stage, we don't know what that agreement will contain. Indeed, we don't even know if we'll be getting an agreement at all, such has been the appalling behaviour, sadly, of our EU partners. And secondly, taking the common fisheries policy as an example, Article 50 takes us out cleanly with no possibility of future legal challenges. Now, it's future legal challenges that I think we should be trying to avoid. But I have concerns about Regulation 1380 of 2013, which will obviously be brought across within this bill. And that will be, obviously, to re-establish the common fisheries policy in all but name, paving possibly the way for a legal challenge, maybe via the Vienna Conventions on International Treaties, through the withdrawal agreement. And they would bring evidence, of course, that the acquis that we've accepted and transposed into UK law, and that we've created by doing that, a continuation of rights thereon. What I would like to see is the proposed fisheries bill, which is due before us at some time. This could solve the problem. We have no idea at this time what the fisheries bill will contain. Will it continue to give away the nation's wealth that is its fish? Will it continue the disastrous CFP policy of quota allocation that puts the resource in the hands of a few and is the cause of the completely immoral problem of discarding of prime fish that we've seen all these years? We simply do not know. What I'm asking is, why are we going down this tortuous route, when the easiest route would be to exempt all fisheries acquis from this withdrawal bill and produce a fisheries bill coming into force on the 30th of March 2019 that would confirm what international law bestows upon this nation. Now, that's not unusual, because we're already exempting parts of the Charter of Fundamental Rights within this bill. Now, fishing is the area in which the British people demand, and I think will not accept anything but a clean Brexit, not to be used as a trade-off, not to be used as some availability for a deal elsewhere. Control of our exclusive economic zone of 200 nautical miles, or the median line, it will regenerate our coastal communities, which, if we follow the current fisheries policy, it will certainly fail. And it's quite odd, isn't it, that we commit vast amounts of cash, thankfully, I would say, for communities such as mine in Ramsgate and Broadstairs and parts of Margate, that we have this vast cash for the Coastal Communities Fund. And yet at this time we don't seem to have a clear commitment to one thing that could be a great rejuvenation of our coastal communities that are recognised as having lower rates of employment and are in need of restructuring and infrastructure. So on this subject, the electorate are very wary of shenanigans. We can't afford to create a failure, and it's our responsibility to make a success. I'm very happy today to trust the government in supporting the second reading tonight, but I would very much like to hear more about what the government's proposals are to actually restore one of the finest treasures of this nation, its potential for very positive fishing grounds that will benefit our communities.